everyone, my name is Flicker, and this video sparked back a memory and a line of thought that honestly I think is worth talking about. Because, as I will say before and I'll say again, my original nature is not that of being sharp, mean, or otherwise. My original nature is that of trying to be a decent person, a goody two-shoes, who strives to meet others' expectations. And I decided to, in the face of realizing that my heart might get hurt and manipulated, or that other people would take advantage of me, I realized that I didn't want to live like that. I didn't want to live as a lab rat running through a maze to get a good score on the scientist's testing board. So I specced into being a jerk. Specced into being a bitch. Not intentionally, not completely, but I stopped trusting the world. And that's its own entire tangent for another time. I'd love to go into it, but I feel like I've done that enough times as is before. That's not what I want to talk about. What I want to talk about is stimulation. Because I can agree with this video. Short-form content that only lasts a few seconds to a few minutes is adversely detrimental to one's own mental health and ability to pay attention to the world around you. And the reason why I can agree with that is because of something I noticed when I was in VR chat some years back, wherein I would have these really good nights where I felt like I was really socially invested and having a great time with people. And it was almost like a energy high, a social energy high, where I would feel really, really awesome. And so my brain was like, okay, I want to have that again. And so it went back to the same group of people again the next day. But of course, things like that aren't consistent. At least not in my experience. If it's consistent in your experience, then congrats, you might have found something I didn't. But personally, I realized somewhere along the way that that craving for social energy, for interesting moments and good times, that craving for energetic experiences and feeling like I belonged in a community, it was causing me to it was causing this fear of missing out to grow within me. And at some point, I was so scared of missing out that I was hopping between different instances because it's like, well, this current moment isn't really interesting. Maybe there's some other social instance or some other group of friends that are doing something interesting? And along the way, I realized that that itself was what was causing me to be miserable. That constant need for stimulation because of ADHD. And sure, I may have been getting it in a social capacity, which is its own hazard and otherwise. Part of the reason why I'm worried about the dense stork, but that's its own tangent. But short-form content does that to the same extent, wherein you seek out stimulation more than actual connection at some point. You get addicted to the emotional high of, like, you get addicted to the emotional high of, like, a good video or a good hangout with friends. And then you start comparing things. And that comparison it disconnects you from the moment and keeps you from being able to engage in the same way that created those moments of energy and fun times again. Because at that point, you're A, trapped inside your own head overthinking things, B, failing to authentically engage with the present moment and what's going on around you in a meaningful way, and C, always looking for the next best thing, which then from which A and C then contribute into D, where you're not connected to the moment, so you have no emotional investment in it. And so the stimulation becomes everything that's left. And it becomes a hollow instinct, a hollow habit of find more stimulation, find more this, find more that. And at some point along the way, I realized I didn't want to live like that. The more stimulation you crave and seek, the less room for empathy you have. Because connection takes time. And if someone's an avoidant, then by all means, they'll just go after what's most stimulating instead of what's best for them. They'll go after the people who are dangerous or interesting or unpredictable rather than the people that they can connect with, because connection feels like vulnerability and vulnerability feels like danger. Which sucks, because that means that they're both pushing away people who could genuinely lift them up out of their negative headspace, while also running towards people who would very much take advantage of them. And somewhere along the way, that can foster self-hatred. That can foster the kind of complacency where it's like, oh, this again. I don't want to deal with it, so shove it over here. Or, guess this is how it will always be. And that's not the case. It doesn't need to always be that way. But the emotional story that lives in your head keeps you from physically processing the feelings and letting them pass. It keeps instigating those feelings, keeps interfacing with and riling them up. It's one of the reasons why I limit my exposure to anything related to the dunce store, because if there's something related to them, even if through fiction, then too much stimulus causes regression into a headspace that only eats up my time. It doesn't contribute to my own self-growth. It doesn't contribute to the stability of my future or the happiness of my friends. It doesn't contribute to anything other than the former obsession. And that former obsession is something I want to kill. Even if you care about something happening in the world, it's immediately overwritten by something else and forgotten about. Yeah. I like this comment. It goes into a darker line of thought that feels closer to the actual reality in a way that people don't want to use it as an excuse. Also, why the fuck is there a video titled it Dominating a Server with a Transgender Death Ray? What? Who? Hmm. I know they're being silly. I hope they're being silly, but also, by damn it. Yeah. Someone once said, social media to socializing is the same as reality to reality TV. Ugh. Anyways, that's all my thoughts for this.